Okay, it is the time for the evening talks. Everyone may consent 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Cattaro me bhikkhave puggala santo samvijjamana lokasmin khatame cattaro rupappamana rupappasanna ghosappamana ghosappamana pasanna Lukappamana lukappasanna dhammappamana dhammappasanna ti. Dear Dhamma friends, for today's Dhamma talk, I would like to recite, I would like to quote this particular sutta you find in the Anguttara Nikaya, in book of 4. The Buddha, as a Buddha to be, or Bodhisattva, as well as after enlightenment, going through this sansaric journey for a long time. He was in a position to summarize his memory, and he wished to share with the other people, those who are interested in walking along this spiritual path. In this particular sutta, he says, he finds there are 4 kinds of people in the society at large. When they are selecting something, they have 4 kinds of criterion or measuring sticks or yardsticks, and accordingly they measure. According to the omniscient knowledge of the Buddha, first one is the rupappamana, rupappasanna. Most of the people, when they are selecting someone or something, they are going by the outer appearance, rupa. Rupappamana, rupappasanna. So when you are selecting your partner, when you are selecting a dress, when you are selecting a house, when you are selecting a meal, whatever may be, this is the first and foremost criterion. You go by the appearance. So, I mean, it's a truth. It is a fact. But the selection through this appearance is not always leading to the truth. Sometimes or most of the time, you will be cheated, and therefore, one has to be aware of the loopholes or flaws or disadvantages of selecting other things by the mere outer appearance, the rupappasana, rupappamana. The second kind of people, they go by ghosappamana, ghosappasana. They wait and expect others' criticisms and others' valuations. And if the majority are accepting, if the majority say good, they without hesitation accept it is as good. This is called ghosa. Ghosa means the value judgment of the many in the society. So ghosappamana and ghosappasana is the second one. The third one is yet another kind of people going by the austere practices. They think that the person who is most austere and dwelling upon very meager facilities and going, and that is the most important criterion. So therefore, when they are selecting their teachers and partner or any kind of thing, sometimes take this austere practices as the foremost thing. The last one, these are the 3 usually the worldly beings are taking as criterion. The rupa, the appearance, the gosa, the fame gain and all the kind of thing. The third one is the austere practices, and Buddha is adding the last one, that is to say Dhammapasanna, Dhammapamana. That the truth, the phenomena, the true existence is the last one the Buddha wished to add into this list. So it become now 4, the appearance, the fame, and the austere practices, and the truth. So, giving some more flesh into the skeleton, the commentators, they say, is out of 3 people, 2 or 2/3 in the sense will take the final decision by the external appearance. And that is how the modern society is driven by the advertisements. Modern society is driven by the pharmaceutical industries. Modern society is driven by the all the agendas. Because through our generations, we were addicted to this. We select the teachers, select the partner, select, as I mentioned, all the other things, just by the appearance. So therefore, whenever you go to a capital city, you can see so much of advertisements, and they attract your attention just to the appearance. And then their final idea is to sell their products, and we are also going by the this criterion of appearance. So, for the last maybe 150 to 200 years, the development of the so-called development and modern society is measured by the appearance. Say they want to keep everything clean, neat and appeared very well, but ultimately it is ending up with the consumerization, ending up with the environmental pollution and frustration, and that is how it goes. So, when I was in, I think in Melbourne, we were driving in a car, and 3 of other passengers was talking about the good side of the appearance. They say their streets are very clean, and the people are well dressed, and outer appearance is very good, and therefore the city council also won't allow any odd people to be in the town and keep it clean, and they are not publishing any bad news, and so that people are happy. Then I thought, for me, I don't think so, because that before the Prince Siddhartha renunciated the capital city, the father King Suddhodana also made the city in such a way he won't feel, he won't see any sick person, he won't see any elderly people or age-old people, and he won't see any dead bodies. So appear like the whole city is full of youngsters and well-dressed, and everything is happy, good. So therefore the Prince Siddhartha, the crown prince, was under the impression the world is such a nice thing. But the moment, the first day he see that sick person or a age-old or elderly person and the corpse, immediately he came to know this is the truth which we are going to hide. And therefore, whenever we are, of course we are driven by this outer appearance, but you have to understand the world is not so beautiful. It has its ugly part, but it is camouflaged and appearing like a advertisement or something like a models. This has some kind of a basis for the Westerners, because Westerners are developed with the idea of the Almighty God. He created this world, it must be beautiful, because God is a compassionate one. So the church maintained the situation. The mad people should not be at the street. Elderly, they must be put into the asylum. Elderly people must put into the house for elders. Sick people must put into the hospitals and everything. And all the beautiful part is in the street, because what the creation is. But situation is different when you go to the India. When you go to the India, you find all the kind of people in the same street. So Westerners found India is underdeveloped. It is not the best way to keep the street and kind of thing. So we, born in Asiatic countries, still believe this kind of agenda. It is good. I don't speak against keeping the places clean and neat and nice, but this is not the situation. And the second one is the Gosappamana, that is through the information technology. Now we know you can make anything out of anything. So therefore, whatever the newsreel you are going to see, it is everywhere. Wherever you go, listen to the same thing. And these media people, they know how to bend the truth. So ultimately, if we are to listen, if we are to take it for granted, we don't know what we are believing. That is, we call Gosa, or mass media, and that is also yet another way that people make use to amuse the majority of the people. So, present day, the world, specifically the younger generation, are blindfolded due to this, the appearance and the media. So parents, as well as the true gentlemen, find very difficult to communicate with them and teach them to see things as they are. Usually this Rupappamana or Rupapasanna, the going by the appearance and going by this fame, gain and the popular idea, is to become the criterion for the younger generation. Will you become little older, you add the third one to see the austere practices. Those who are seemingly appear to be very austere, and many feel they are the people to be followed, and therefore there are some the forged kind of spiritual masters. Their outer appearance is so show me like that, but their basic idea is not at all benevolent to the human society at large, and they keep on preaching and talking not what they are doing, but doing what they are not preaching. So that is why the Buddha says someone has to have a three-dimensional look or depth of the society to arrive at a decision. And as far as these three criterions are concerned, the appearance, the popular view, as well as this austere, the appearance, these three keep ourselves blindfolded. And if you take one, something like appearance, and you are bound to get blindfolded to the other two. And if you are going by the fame, you will be blindfolded to see the others. Therefore, our narrow-minded decision-making process always try to find one single criterion and going to make a decision. But in truth, never single variable going to give rise single effect. Always for a single effect, number of criteria, number of causes are there. So we learn in the schools, in the linear method, so we always write formulas, one criterion is related to the other, and therefore our mind is trained in such a linear method, we find difficult to comprehend the matrix. We find difficult to comprehend the 3D. So therefore, the education system also based upon this kind of thing. With respect to that, the Dhammapamana, the understanding of the truth, its natural nature, its universal law, is very complicated. Very difficult to reduce to single character or single cause and single effect. So therefore, the Buddha come out and say, the Rupa Pamana is one, Gosa Pamana, the fame is second, and the Luka Pamana, the austerity is there. Don't arrive at such a quick decision upon them. Keep on observing, then only with the longer observation only, you can come to know what is the truth is. If you are going to rush according to one single criterion, definitely your decision is not lasting one. So that is why he came out and present this Dhammapamana. So commentator says out of 3 people, 2 will caught up with this appearance, by appearance. Out of 5, 4 will be caught up with this, the fame and the popular topics and the popular ideas, popular opinions. And out of 9 out of 10 will be caught up with this austere appearance. But not a single person you may find out of 100,000 who can employ or wish to employ the Dhammapamana, the reality or the truth. So therefore the commentators try to give little bit of explanation and some kind of tools to understand this Dhammapamana. They say Dhammapamana means understanding the person through his or her morality, concentration and wisdom. So if you are going to select a second person out of his virtues and morality, that is the lasting one. Not only that, more and more you appreciate that kind of thing, your moral status also will be uplifted. And if you are going to select a person not only having the morality but have morality as well as the concentration, this mere appreciation, this mere association itself is going to give a good vibrations for that kind of a selector. And if you are selecting all the 3, the morality, concentration and the wisdom, definitely you will correct and you will be erect your all the wrong views, and day by day you are leading towards this all the 3 characteristics. But definitely you all will complain, very difficult to find people, those who are possessing all the 3, morality, concentration and the wisdom. That is rare. That is the truth from the ancient time to date. Therefore, though it is difficult, though it is rare, if you are going to rush to take a decision by the mere appearance, and you have to accept what is existing, you can see, what you see is existing. Then only you can take this appearance as a criterion to arrive at a decision. What exists, we can see. What we see is what is existing. That is how the physics came into being. That is how the chemistry and biology and everything came into being. But now, when you go deep and deep into the physics and chemistry and biology or any science, they keep on changing their own views. Specifically, if you take physics itself, they recognize different elements, their qualities, their weight, their specific gravity, color, and try to put into cages telling this is the element, that is the specific color, this is the specific gravity, this is the specific weight, all the kind of thing. So at the beginning they were cut and dry. But whenever they find that radioactive transactions, they found within that element there are some changes happen due to the electroactive actions. So when they, at the beginning they told only the molecules are the minimum and therefore reduce to the molecule and draw the criteria. But later they went into the atoms and they found that is the building block. And when we in the physics, we are being given the characteristic of different atoms. But later they cut into that and go to the electrons and protons. And that they told this is the ultimatum. And ultimately they found the positron and blah blah blah. It is keep on now more than 30 numbers. And ultimately they found when you go to that quarks, the tiny particles, they have no color, they have no appearance, they are just energies. So then how can you attribute any shape? So when the energy wave going to become a particle, and when is the energy particle going to become an energy wave, is such a tricky thing. Some says about 300 years or so before, one person came out with an idea, the energy wave collapse and become a particle only when the conscious mind interacted. Otherwise energy is energy. So therefore when a person is looking at it, the lookers, the observers, consciousness has to collapse. That energy is, then only it become a particle, then the person who see, the person he consciously observe, himself consider it as either a sound, or visible object, or smell, or taste, whatever may be. So therefore, not that you are observing what is existing. Existing thing you can't observe. What you observe is your own mind. So therefore, nowadays is, when the Schrodinger wavelength is being interacted with the conscious mind, it collapses into particles. So particles make this shape. So we believe what we see is something existing, but it is not existing as particle, it is just energy waves. So that is what the Buddha, without any laboratory, he mentioned, what you see is nothing but emptiness. Now scientists themselves come to an agreement, what we call the matter, if you take only the solid particles into matter, it is less than 4%. And 26% of the rest is they call dark matter. Still they are exploring into that. Rest 70 they call dark energies. Only 4%. And whatever we see, we have to see, in whatever we see, shape, manner, colors and all the kind of thing, only 4% exist. Others are all projections from the viewer, from you. So therefore what you see is a creation of you. Hard to believe. Earlier when the Buddha mentioned these things, people told these are mystics. So therefore they discarded the Buddha, telling he is talking about the witchcraft. But now when the science come and telling the same thing, now the classical science theories can't prove the modern science. They are searching the refuge, they are searching the guidelines of the Buddhism to say what you see is not existing. What is existing is not what you see. So therefore, in the Dvaitanupassana Sutta, Buddha says, if a commoner says something exists, it does not. What is existing, a commoner can't see. So how to bridge this gap? Because it is, if someone openly make a statement telling what you see is not existing, it's a huge challenge to the physics. But the little fraction of people, the top class scientists, they are really making conference and talking about that. And little bit of Buddhists, those who are practicing Vipassana, they know the world is nothing but vanity, nothing but emptiness. That is called Sunyatavada. So when we are learning physics and go into the external world and see the the sociology, politicians and the political science and the economy and kind of thing, we completely depend on what we see. And we have to believe what we see is existing, what existing is what we see. Whenever you are to observe a mirage, it is happening due to the excessive heat, and the outcome is just like a water pool. So therefore the deers and others in the thirsty, they see a mirage at far away, so they keep on chasing behind the mirage, and ultimately what happens is they get exhausted and die. They never see a mirage, but they really see it, and they believe it is like water. So they are really in water, they are chasing behind. And when you are looking at your face through the mirror, you see another person. And it can smile, it can laugh, it can do anything, but you know it's an image. So when you go back into your eye, the visual object or light waves come and strike into that, and then when it comes to the cornea, and it absorbs that light energy and decode into that to the nervous impulse and go to the behind, and it is recorded in the decoded manner. Whenever you want to see the memory, it is recorded again and it appears like a male, female, red color, white color, blue color and all the kind of thing. But that is not what you see. What you see is your own projection from your past memories. So therefore the Buddha says, the seeing and see these physical shapes is the only criterion for the commoners to understand. Instead Buddha prescribed insight, not the just sight. He says, look at it again and again and again and again. Then you see there is no existing permanent solid thing. There is something, but it is only 2% or less of substantiality. It is in such a flux. It is such a movement. It is such an impermanent nature. Our eye does not like to see the changing nature. We want to see it is permanent and it is pleasurable. And if I can have it, I am rich, and it make and boost my ego. So therefore whatever we see, we take it permanent, we take it pleasurable, we take it to boost our energy. So therefore we are happy to accept that what we see is existing, what we existing is what we see, and that is how we make our existence. So if you take a opinion poll, 99.9999 will be for what we see is existing is for existing what we see. But the Buddha, even the 99.999 going against, he boldly stands still. He says, please take my advice and observe again and again and again. One day, whenever you are in the sober mind, you will see what you have seen is something to be challenged. So, definitely when we are living in the world, in the conventional world, we take it to grant what we see is existing. What is existing is what we see. But when we are doing vipassana, that means we are doing insight meditation, we are not supposed to look at what is external. We are supposed to look something internal. That itself make a huge change in our perspectives. The whole science is extrovert. The insight is the only science, if you are to call it like that. Change is our attention, everything introvert. So therefore writing a book on Tao of physics, that is the pathway of physics, Fridge of Capra, I think now more than 20 years, he really explained it, and he thinks, and he attributes, and he thanks, how was the wisdom of the Buddha to see through, not to just to see the superficial value. He see through. For me, the most striking thing is, his wisdom seeing through, I rather manage to understand. My difficulty is, how can he communicate with the other commoners, those who are believing what they see is existing, what existing is they see. This teaching method, it is non-human. It is such a going against the grain. So therefore being Buddhist means at least we are appreciating a radical reflection on all what we see and all what we hear. And we have to be careful. If we are worrying and if we are counting for the defilements, 99% of the defilements come from seeing and hearing. That is why when we become blind, we become so disheartened. When we become deaf, we become so disheartened. But when you go to the meditation center, you will be asked to close your eyes. Go to a silent place, because these two variables are fast changing and more attractive, and you will be taken for a ride. Therefore the Buddha says, when you go to meditation center, just close your eyes, because that visual object, vision and seeing and eye consciousness is very tricky. So for the moment, fix that factor. And then go to a silent place, so there is no the popular opinions and views, and then closing and do away with the smell and taste is very easy. Specifically when you are in a sitting posture, and observe within. Not with your carnal eye, just observe with the wisdom. And for that, you must have to have some kind of moral discipline to keep the body at least for a few minutes, like a pyramid, and then observe it with full vigilance, full diligence, full mindfulness, considering this is the most precious moment, this is the most important thing in our life, only human being can do it. This is called insight meditation. For that you have to have certain amount of physical and verbal restrainment, that is called sila. Of course, sila is a vast subject. In this limited meaning, we can say, if you want someone can sit in the one place for a certain amount of time, it's a kind of restrainment. And not only that, on top of that moral restrainment, you have to have certain amount of alignment of the mental factors, specifically the mindfulness and the concentration. They are just like lenses fixed in such a way, either you can make it a telescope or microscope. You can see far away thing or close by thing in the magnification. So then only you are ready to see the world in this radical way. If you are meditating, really meditating, results are abundant, but the difficulty is you won't believe it. Never you will believe what you are experiencing in the meditation. So therefore you have to start with whatever may be perceivable, whatever may be palatable in a very gross manner, and then deep go together with the mindfulness and the concentration. ultimately you will see, if you are focusing your attention to the just in-breath and out-breath, or rising and falling, how fast, how quickly these shapes and the manners are changing. Of the in-breath to out-breath, out-breath to in-breath, in-breath to in-breath, out-breath to out-breath, how fast it is changing. So you think something wrong. You complain, my mind is not concentrated. My mind is not mindful, because things are changing. So therefore the Buddha, the most fast thinking, changing thing, he fixed it and give a very slight changes. Gradually you can do, you can observe it, and ultimately after long striving you may come to know that you can discriminate. This is in-breath, as if you see from your carnal eye, this is in-breath, these are the characteristics, the shapes and the manners of the in-breath, and this is out-breath. It is discriminate from the in-breath, these are the shapes and the manners, and fixing like when you are going to observe it, more and more you see the shapes and the manners, more and more see its dynamism. If you see more closely, more vigilantly, more diligently, more and more you become closer to the object, it appears like a flux. And ultimately what happens is, the individual characteristics of the in-breath and out-breath merge into, and where the common character come into being. Whenever the individual characters merges each other, you get confused. You feel something changing radically, and you read it as if you are not breathing. But instead what happens is, when the individual characters become faded off, the common character come into being. The common character is, all the shapes and all the manners are ever changing. You are not ready to accept it, because you have been training. What you see is existing, what existing is what you see. But if you are radically reflecting, if you are ready to accept this fast changing thing, then you will understand meditating is one thing, reporting what you see is another thing, and accepting the truth as truth is yet another thing. You have to give up your stereotype ideas, you have to break open your blinkers and radically reflect, because you are experiencing something under your very nose, though it is unbelievable. So ultimately what happens is, you will understand the in-breath and out-breath reduce just to a vibration, just to a shake, just to a movement, just to a lightness, just to a vastness. So when it happens, you feel like losing your ego. You feel like you are lost. So therefore sometimes you tend to open your eyes and see. You tend to entertain doubts, or your mind will fall into sleep, because you can't believe this so obvious breath become completely dissolved. Because you have been training your mind, trained your eye to a fixed object, and trained it telling what you see is something existing. If something exists, it must be the observable. But when you understand the breath become gross at the beginning, when it becomes subtle, at the gross level, you can perceive it. When it becomes subtle, you can't perceive anything. This is the way it is changing. For that, you have to have this moral training, concentration training, and the wisdom training. So, when you are training yourself along this, with all the difficulties, the moral restrainment, concentration restrainment, and the wisdom restrainment, you will never arrive at a quick decision, because you know quick decisions are derived from the limited amount of information. So more and more you become experiencing insight meditation, you will be rather doing a feasibility report for a long time to get a clear information about what you are talking about, what you are dealing about. You never rush to a decision, because you know, even if you see, don't believe, listen and touch it and test it in all the possible ways. before reaching a decision. For that, sometimes it is called apannaka patipada. Apannaka patipada means that you are training how to suspend a decision rather than rushing to a decision. Evenly suspended attention, you keep on observing with the suspended decision. This is how the maturity comes. So the day you understand your own change in the values and means, then only you can select and find who else in the society are based on the Dhammapamana or Dhammapasanna, going by the Dhamma. Otherwise you will be taking quick decisions just by the appearance, just by the popular opinions or by austere practices, and you can understand, leave aside the society at large, even the meditation world itself, so much of misunderstandings, so much of chaotic situation, so much of teachers are coming and telling short methods, quick methods. So every meditator is trying behind these quick methods. Ultimately what happens is, they get discouraged and disheartened regarding the Buddha, regarding the Dhamma, regarding the Sangha. So therefore, if you are seriously considering anything, don't throw away the appearance. Don't throw away what the people say. Don't throw away the understanding about these austere practices, but don't rush to a decision. Take again and again the same thing, and repetitive application is the only method to get all the possible facets. So Buddha himself says, even in the breath, if you are to see, if you are to claim that you have seen it, you have to see 11 dimensions. The past form, the present form and the future form. The gross form, the subtle form. Internal form, external form. Far form and near form. Desirable form, indesirable form. So now scientists also talking about 11 dimensions now. And recently few emails came to me asking, Bhante, is this scientific so-called 11 dimension and the Buddha's 11 dimensions are equal? For me, I can't arrive at a decision quickly. There are some parallelism, but whatever may be, don't rush to a decision. Go, wait to see all the possible facets. Out of that, the appearance is only one thing. It is not the sole criteria. And what the people say about also yet another criterion, but it is not the sole. And the austere practices also not. But the Dhamma is the only one asking you to be patient. It never gives shortcuts. If someone is going to give shortcuts, be careful. There are no shortcuts. Dhamma is the reality, things as they are, you have to understand. So, without the people, those who have no acquaintance with the Dhamma, no acquaintance with the discipline, no acquaintance with even a little amount of insight experiences, find very difficult to understand the teaching of the Buddha. But anyway, the Buddha himself possessed all the 4 characters. He was the most beautiful man in the world. He was called Mahavira, Mahapurusha. And anyone can recognize he is full-fledged human being. And the second is Gosappamana, and he got a fame unblemished. There were some people tarnishing him. He withstand anything, so therefore he earned very good name. And as far as the austerity is concerned, he was a crown prince, but he went to a status of a beggar. And he told this is the best way of living. But he never made use this to propagate Dhamma. Therefore he says, whoever is propagating Dhamma, there are three methods. One thing is magics. and showing all the kind of mystical magics. The second thing is mind reading business. Third one is just teaching. This is Sila, this is Samadhi, this is Panya. That is called the Anusasana. So out of these all three methods, the Buddha says whatever the teaching based upon these magics and all the kind of things, it is anariya and not the noble way. Whatever based upon the reading of the others' minds and the healings and kind of thing, he never appreciate. He only appreciate the teaching method. What you do, you have to tell. What you tell, you have to do. So this is the only way. So therefore, even though he was a Mahapurusha, the great person, he never used this as a method to teach others. His fame, he never misused or used for teaching Dhamma. He never used these austere practices, but he represented all the four. So therefore, it is like a selection of gems or precious stones out of billions of grains of sand. That criterion, if you misuse or if you are unskillful, you are the one to suffer. But if he has no way, if there is no dispensation of the Buddha, we are all in the same boat. But lucky enough, we are in the dispensation of the Buddha. And that is also available and effective only for the human beings. Others can't, others have no patience, no chance. They have never evolved up to that level to understand it. And within the human beings also, lot of people have defects and disabled people full of inferiority complex. So being human being and having average look and average organs is also yet another difficult thing. And out of these people, those who have the complete citizenship, they are so crazy going behind the shapes, going behind the popular ideas, going behind the austere practices, how little fraction come back to the Dhamma as such, or listen to Dhamma in its correct perspective, and find a good leader, good teacher, good friend, and some very rarely going forth and dedicate the whole life. So all these we have at our fingertip. We can at our discretion. So being so, if you are going to rush and going to make decision by this appearance or by the popular ideas or austerity, you are to suffer. In that case, one can't help others. Mothers can't help children. Children can't help mothers. Doctors can't help their patients. Patients can't help their doctors. Each and everyone has to have. So therefore, it is a tricky thing. It is very rare thing. But the easy method is, more and more you go to the Dhamma, out of faith maybe, or out of rational knowledge maybe, you are becoming more and more secure. Though it is happy to be very time-taking, very slow, painfully slow at the beginning, this is the only refuge we have. So therefore, taking the refuge of Dhamma means it's a serious business. It is just not going in front of this thing and telling, Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditabbo Vinyoiti. Not mere words. Each and every word has a deep meaning. So therefore, day by day, we have to take this Dhamma criterion, that means virtues, concentration and the wisdom, more and more you will be uplifted. More and more you will be cultured. More and more you will be dragged into the other Dhamma people, Dhamma friends. And if you try to keep away from that, accordingly you will be taken by the appearance, people associated with the appearance, people associated with the popular fame gain, and the austerity, you will be taken into that. So therefore, your perspective, your viewpoints is very important, and it is completely a accidental thing. You can't systematically lead someone to go from Rupa Pramana to Dhamma Pramana. Each and every sincere parents may be happy to lead their children not to go for this appearance, not to go for this the social opinions and kind of thing, and to put into the Dhamma. They try their best, but still the issue is completely open. So therefore, when you come to the Dhamma Pramana, mind you all, it is happening only in one dimension. Here, now, I am. It never happened in common sense. It never happened in the past and the future. You can't share it with the others unless we share in Dhamma. But your experience is very exclusive, very precious, very electric, very intrinsic. So therefore, whenever you come to the Dhamma, it is very living. You can't preserve them. You can't keep it under a lock and cupboard. So practicing and the mindfulness, be in the present moment, is the most safest method. But if you ask individually one of each and of you all, you have 1,001 reasons to say no time, no this, no that, excuses. But the Buddha, out of compassion, out of wisdom, he go into the detailed explanation of Dhamma and kept it open. Very specific feature of the Dhamma is, it is under no one's authority. When the real Dhamma comes, when the real mindfulness comes, when the real diligence comes, no one can influence others. It is completely open issue. You can't say being a non-Buddhist, or being born non-Buddhist, or being female, being male, being ordained, being unordained, laity, that is completely irrespective. Whenever you come to know the value, whenever you come to know that you have all the endowment, the moment will take place, so that you will take the Dhamma as the criterion. Then that day onward, the real evolution, the shortest evolution method, the shortest cut come into being. So being Buddhist, born Buddhist, in my life, up to the age of 26, I also just following this Rupa Pramana, Gosappamana, Lukappamana. Of course, Lukappamana was not my favorite. I was searching about following the appearance and the popular opinions. And whenever the mindfulness come into my criterion, it had some kind of attraction. While I am doing all the Gosappamana and Rupappamana, keep on practicing, keep on observing to maximize the moments of mindfulness. And ultimately, slowly, and even though I am presently living in the completely social way of life, whatever the scientific development, whatever the thing, I can easily comprehend, because I am closing little by little to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, to the Sangha. And therefore mind is ever in the present moment. So each and every one of you have this opportunity. As far as you are in the Rupa Pramana, you are in either past or future. As far as you are in the Gosappamana, the opinion is either past or future. As far as you are in the Lukappamana, you are past or future. Only the Dhamma is inviting you to and showing you an endowment and to be in the present moment. So we have to say, as far as you are in the Rupappamana, on the shape and the outer appearance, you are dead and gone. You are no more living. You are trying to live. As far as you are going by the opinions, it's also future and the past, you are no more living. As far as you are living on and appreciating the others' austere practices, it is not you are living. Only the Dhamma bring you to the present moment, and it is keep on dynamic, living, and therefore you appreciate your human being, and once you come into the Dhammapamana, you will never look down another human being. Even the beasts, even the animals, you can't look down, because each and everyone has the equal chance to come into the Dhammapamana. Though they have not yet come, you don't know, next moment it can happen. No one is senior. No one is superior in the sphere of Dhamma. So therefore, more and more you go into the Dhamma, you are being a part and partial, or yet another drop in the vast ocean of knowledge. That sometimes people call it as a universal consciousness. And you never try to recognize yourself as a being or egocentric. You try to be a part and parcel of the vast knowledge, so that you are fully protected. So, by reading this sutta and going into that, what it invites is, try to live. Don't be living, make yourself living rather than trying to be live. So therefore, all the criterion you must understand and let it evolve, and conclusively one can say, the last and the best and lasting criterion is Dhamma. You all are, in that sense, quite lucky when compared to the people who are ignorant to the Dhamma. But anyway, you may consider you are very lacking behind and not up to the mark and all the kind of thing. That is not the idea of presenting the Dhammapamana, just to say that appreciation of Dhamma only make you to come here. Otherwise you have 1,001 things to happen. So therefore, whatever available for the moment, don't throw away these other three criterion. Keep it in their due place and try to promote more and more Dhammapamana, so that you will be protected without the second person, without the second agent, and you will understand the value of humanity. So that's all I thought of sharing with you all. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Any comments or any opinions or any criticism? I think a lot of maybe some, how do you call, the scholars and students in the scientific fields, more than, because I am now 30 years away from the society, I know little by reading of the meditators, when they are interpreting the scientific this thing. So I am very happy to read these books and come into that, but maybe there are much more closely related people to the science and kind of thing. So if I am wrong, please correct me, and if you have to tell me something to teach, I am very happy to learn. This is my sincere opinion that I share with you.
You mentioned that there are no shortcuts to mindfulness. So I've heard before that you can practice or cultivate mindfulness everyday activity by paying attention to the everyday tasks of doing, like driving or whatever it is. Do you have any comment on that?
The first thing is that you mentioned there's no shortcuts, but I would say there are some conducive conditions for mindfulness that I have to introduce. The best thing is to have mindful friends. And when you are among the mindful friends, you develop kind of a good vibrations, so you feel like testing it. And the second thing is simple living, high thinking way of life. If you are going to go for luxuries or extravagance, you are badly cutting off the already developed mindfulness. You have to live on the earth. That is called, use the facilities for utility value, never go for luxury. If you go for luxury, you have to pay. So you must understand what is the utility. That is ever changing one. It's changing from person to person. So you keep it so that your earnings is very limited you need. Because you are just satisfying by the mere utility value. And not taking the criterion by the next door person in the next door, or what is appearing in the advertisement, what is the paper going to say, what is the television going to say, what is the radio going to say. They can't, don't let them to make agenda for you. They are very happily taking the chance and making agenda. Ultimately we succumb to the situation and we are burning the candle from both the ends and we are facing the immature deaths. So just live with the utility value. And then it is the way the scouts are working. It is the way the Girl Guides are working. It is not the Buddha, even the Baden-Powell, Swami, he says, be prepared, be on the ground, and that is the way. And that will be very good message. All the parents wish to give it to their children, but parents are setting for role model. So therefore, children are following what they do rather than what they tell. For the last 2 generations, we are so extravagant. We don't know where was the situation during our grandparents' situation. They were really living in the peasant life and very happy. They had the fresh air, they had the fresh water. They were living. What is happening now? And even the people making the agenda, they are listless now. So therefore we have to take care about ourselves. And individually when we are taking care, the society will be also come into the correct terms. And it is a slow but very steady. And some people say Buddha, teaching of the Buddha is outdated and he is talking to the Indian culture and 2,500 years and 6,000 years, 2,600 years, all Dhamma. But when you are taking to the present moment, the time is kind of an illusion in our mind. The space is kind of an illusion in mind. Dhamma is beyond the time and the space. You can see through the time and space, and the Buddha is living. Dhamma is living. Sangha is living. So you have to live. You have to be mindful. You have to be vigilant. Then the good vibrations are coming. So even though there is no shortcuts, there are some conducive conditions, supportive conditions. So we have to be opportunists to make use the maximum of this conducive condition. Therefore, whenever you see a noble friend, strive through. Don't let him go. Chase behind, but noble friend will not be hug you. They will not kiss you. They will not bless you. They don't care. But it is your duty to go and take as much as possible at the sacrifice of anything. And ultimately you will find that is what I can do. The mindfulness as such, you can't accelerate it. It is happening in a very painfully slow way, but giving conducive conditions. And I believe I can't make that for another person. Only you have to. Even your dear and near one will be contradict. If you are going to post them or force them or tell them, it's utter wastage. They are, you will say it is selfish. Very selfish like. But there is no other way. No other way. If it is available, if you have ears, if you have eyes, see and go. And when you keep on practicing, when you are gathering the momentum, other will feel. Definitely they will feel, but take a huge time gap. So therefore, making use the opportunity and get the maximum out of the dispensation. And that is the best we can do to the propagation of the dispensation too. Get use it and contribute it. Because it is reciprocal thing. I really find to tackle your pronunciation. Okay. Someone has to interpret. You carry on.
Okay, I was just trying to draw a person to and for example, politicians. I'm just thinking suppose most Buddha as politicians consider for Buddhism is, I would say that it's seen as appearance, and even still practices these laws, right? Really, these practices for these laws,
one person calls Oldenburg, he going through the whole Tripitaka. He says Buddha never used the privileges, right for privileges or politics, never in his words. He never give anyone to employ political power on the other person. He kept completely open. Don't think this is democratic. Buddha never prescribed democracy. Democracy is a kind of a corruption. He is talking about the higher level. Democracy is the one of the third layer corruptions. They are the higher levels, and he gave the example. But when you go to the Gandhi is one of the great people, he says, if religious is free of political, if the politicians are free of Dhamma, he won't believe, he says. He says your political motivation always must back by Dhamma. All the Dhamma people must have kind of a politics and going on. So out of these two, I like the Oldenburg's idea. When I am leading the life, I find, may I not influence into anyone's psychology. That is my basic thing. Because I have to commit. Then I have to pay for that. So therefore, keep the situation open, transparent, and then anyone can have any opinion, but no political interference. So under such lights, under such circumstances, what is the meaning of the family bond? What is the meaning of a society? What is the meaning of a citizenship? You have to reinterpret it. So therefore, as far as the politicians are concerned, appearance is very important. That is why so much of posters. And the fame is so important. That's why they pay for people and make all the rumors and all the kind of time. You know the agenda. And they say they are very simple. Every politician has to wear the national dressing in Sri Lanka. When they go home, they wear the trousers. When they go to the political part, this thing, they are wearing national. One day a politician used to go for an evening walk with the dog. And he was wearing a full uniform, the Western uniform. And one of his followers asked, "Why, you are usually appearing with the national dressing. What is this?" "I am doing a dog's job," he says. So they are always cheating. And that is how they get the attraction by the austere practices. But when what they do in the daytime is not what they are doing in the night time. What they are telling is not what they are practicing. But in the Buddha's case, definitely he had the completely good appearance. And his fame was unblemished. And his austerity, no one can think about such a range. A beggar as well as a crown prince. He went for the whole range. Therefore, that is how the omniscient knowledge is being nourished. He can cater for the whole range. And he says each and everyone can do it. Everyone has this capacity to adapt into the environment. He says don't fix this thing into a cleavage, telling under this condition and kind of thing. Then you are limiting yourself, putting blinkers into your eyes. Open it. And Dhamma, the mindfulness, is such a thing, so challengeful, so neurobics. All the neurons in your head has to work, otherwise you can't be mindful. Specifically when you try to be mindful in the multitask, complicated job, more and more you become mindful, more and more you become dynamic, more and more you become lucid. The life is such a the teledrama, double action, triple action, everything is there. Very nice. So the term politics is, in my dictionary, is a bad term. Maybe I am not a politician, I have not studied political science. It's a political means influencing to the other psychology. And Bertrand Russell, he told, this is called vested interest. And it's the worst thing human can do another human. Creating an interest upon the second person and say, I am the savior for that interest, please come and pay me the premium I will give you. It is the worst thing you can do. Therefore, let the others to do their own way. If they are asking any help, do. But don't prescribe, don't profess, you do this, you have to do this. Then you are committing. In my sense, you are committing and you have to pay for that. So, in my case, it's an open trump game. Completely open game. And then there may be in my mistakes and other things, people misunderstand kind of, but it makes little repercussions. Then you are going to act, you are going to show, you are going to pose. It's very costly. Psychologically very costly. But now I am in 57 years, so I may be good, but for you people it's difficult, still young. You have to pose, you have to act, you have to...
Performance.
It's kind of a show off. But anyway, you also will come to my age one day. Yeah.
When I see someone who's born into this world and when he's sense capacities, it's like he is not easy. We always think that it's someone who's negative karmic forces that has made him the way he is, therefore is
Still you are talking Greek like. Can anyone to interpret? Yeah. My English is very weak.
Okay, whenever you see someone who's lacking one senses, for example,
The crippled and the disabled people.
we always think that obviously there's something because they're lacking senses, and it is a result of their negative karmic forces. Just now you said something about when they're trying to be mindful. For someone who's able to see, it's actually more difficult because you have to keep talking about. So I was wondering whether if I'm blind and therefore it will be easier for me to be mindful, therefore I do not have as much negative karmic forces than someone who's able to see.
So I had one day I was traveling from Chilao to Colombo with my sister's daughter, and I went and sit in the front seat where it is reserved for monks. The daughter was in the behind seat because they can't go to this thing, only the males can go. So the person is sitting without any response, so it happened me to go before him and sit in the corner seat. So by the way I observe him, he is just direct looking, not responding to what he is seeing. So I try to speak with him, still he is speaking, directly looking in the windscreen. And later, near in Colombo, he told, I am blind. I have been a printer, I know all the street in the Colombo, but anyway, at that time also I am very religious, and later I became a monk. Would you mind to lead me to the next bus? So I was very happy. I asked my daughter, please wait, I will put there and put into the bus. And meanwhile, he took my address. And later, when I am in Nilambe, he came in search of me. And by the time I am reading, learning and discussing and mindful and all the kind of thing, I also had the same idea. This man is so lucky. He is a blind. And because no one can amuse him by basic visual objects. So one day he asked, come and ask, he is very friendly with me, would you mind to lead to the toilet? So we had to step down, go to the few steps down, and I was waiting outside, and after finishing the toilet, he came. Then I told, still I am a lay person at that time, then I told Bhante, you are so lucky, I admire and envy you, Because my young mind is so outwardly, whenever I see something good, I again and again get obsessed with it, and I feel that. Then he was laughing. Then he told, no, gentlemen, even if your eyes are closed, all the past memories are appearing more vividly than what you see. Because I had up to the 35 years, I had good vision. Everything is stored, they are projecting outwardly. And exactly the same thing happens when mind goes deeper into the bodily contemplation and going to the verbal and mental contemplations. The impingements, inflow stops. The mind becomes little aloof from the senses. That means that it is not concerned about what is looking. I say closed. And what is hearing, never mind. It is like a turtle, taken all the limbs inside the shell, and the mind is inside, it feels like a inner space. When that happens, sometimes you are bound to get some visions, some mental projections, and they are completely very lucid. Happened something 10 years ago, or somewhere else, but you have no much of a weight and value for that. But when the mind is at rest, these things are coming, keep on coming. And the interpretation that the Zen master is going to give is, they say, when as far as we are rich, as far as we are well-to-do, we give as much as possible visions, shapes, the colors and the television, the newspaper, the films and everything. We keep on feeding. So therefore it has been addicted to see different shapes and different colors. So what happened when you are all of a sudden closing the influx, the inflow? But the faculty is working. The impingements are no more. Then what does it do is projection from the library shots. Outwardly projection. It appears like exactly living. That is what happened in the dreams. So therefore, as far as the faculty of seeing, the faculty of eye is not crippled or it is disturbed, faculty is working. If there is no impingements coming fresh, it runs with the, like a magazine you are running, no more new articles, you have to run with the library shots. So likewise, each and every faculty fight for its own rights. If you are not going to give, they will produce. They have no gauge, measurement about the morality. They are not worried about this justifiable, unjustifiable, morally sound or not, just projection. That is what in the dreams also. Therefore, just by become blind won't happen. It's a very nicely, sarcastically the Buddha mentioned in the 152nd Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. One day in a discussion like that, another ascetic came. He has a fair respect for the Buddha and came and sit on the ground. Then he says, Buddha asked, are you a disciple of such and such? Yes. He asked that, does your teacher also teaching and preaching about restrainment of faculties? He says, yes, that we also have a very big tradition. And whereby our teacher says, don't look at things, restrain your eye. Don't listen things, restrain your ear. Don't smell things, don't taste things, don't have the luxuries, like that. Restrain yourself. And then the Buddha says to Venerable Ananda, oh Ananda, if that is the case, all the blind people must be arahants. All the deaf people must be arahant. Because they have no defilements to wash it off. Then that person is collapsed and he accepts it. That episode is finished. Then the Buddha says, even in this noble lineage also, there's a kind called restrainment of faculties. Then Venerable Ananda come forward and say, Bhante, please come out with that. Then he says, whenever the visual object impinge into an eye door, mind also ready to be a visual consciousness, and the vision happens. Whenever that vision happens, a liking or disliking is invariable. Whatever you see, uppajjati manapam, uppajjati amanapam. When and where this liking and disliking happens, if you are mindful, you can stop at that vision, seeing without taken for ride by the liking and disliking. Then you will be seeing and stopping at seeing level without proliferating. That is what I call rest end of faculty, not by closing eyes. So therefore, going blindfold, of course we make it artificial in sitting with closed eyes in order to fix this variable, to focus the attention basically to the body faculty. That does not indicate in walking meditation you have to close eyes. You have to be closed eyes in the day-to-day activities. Keep it open. This is the where you intensively develop mindfulness and give the theoretical maximum conditions for the mindfulness to arise. But in walking and the day-to-day activities, eyes are open. So slowly you develop the threshold value. The mindfulness becomes versatile under different circumstances. So therefore, becoming blind is not a good idea. And of course, according to the Buddhist listing and karmic process, it says it's a bad karma. Time up?
No, yeah, you can, if you want to, but one thing I thought of highlighting one area of your valuable talk. Now, you mentioned great saying by Lord Buddha is what you see is not really there. I'm surprised that nobody questioned that statement, because it's such a radical statement, and it cannot be comprehended by the normal people, because it is just like saying that when we see that object, it is not what is really there. So didn't anyone didn't it occur to you that you should be asking a question of that, how can that be? Because I see, therefore it is, or therefore I am, like Socrates or somebody said.
Descartes.
Right.
Vanaya Descartes.
So any questions on that very, very deep area and very challenging statement by Lord Buddha?
I was very happy no one is asking, because very difficult to explain.
No, we took up this at Rectangular, so I thought of stirring it up a little bit.
Okay, I noticed my two sets. Once I was at a talk, and the teacher was on activity. We only talk for a certain distance because it's tall, what is tall, right? It's only tall when you compare with some ratio. So same thing, if you see an object, it is there, because we condition our mind that that's a table. But what is a table if, a chair may be a table, but it's just how we condition ourselves and the ways about productivity, and we become an object to this, with elements. Everything is about the same.
So it's a question of socialization. When you are living alone, uncivilized, there's no matter whether it's called table or it's a black or this and shape. Whenever you are going to communicate, you get trapped. Because both them have to have a common criterion to communicate. So therefore we have to have a science and norms. So norms we consider as fixed. Otherwise you can't run the society. The civilization cannot happen. So ultimately what happens, even though we projected science as permanent, ultimately we camouflage objects also as realistic and permanent. So that is why the mind-made created thing ultimately engulfs the mind, and ultimately you succumb. Otherwise you can't justify this existence. So when you go to the papancha and these mental proliferations, that area has been completely dropped in the Theravada interpretations, because it is so difficult to explain in the objective way. Subjectively you can somehow the other while practicing you can understand, but to communicate with others. But lucky enough in the Mahayana tradition, they specialize again and again and again in it, and therefore if someone to have a fair understanding about the Sunyata Patisangita Desana, the Buddha talk about this nothingness, you have to get some missing links from the Mahayana tradition. And nowadays, we are lucky, the Theravada books also now enriched from the Mahayana, from the Sanskrit sources, and now people are interpreting and again rejuvenating and, how do you call that, revitalizing the teaching of the Buddha. One thing is from the Mahayana, the other one is the scientific new findings also at lost. So they have to also get the Dhamma. So therefore the best link for the moment in the world is the Oxford University scientists and the Dalai Lama. They have man and life conferences each year, and the very tricky subjects they are talking, and not a single Theravada monk taking part. But they are going on. I think with due time the world will develop kind of a common sense upon that. And it is a non-profit organization. Each and every year they have conferences. Specifically they started after this World Trade Center bombing, about the destructive emotions. Now it has taken a fairly scientific as well as the religious. They have coined the term the mind science. Earlier the science was only physics. The mind was to the church. And the people, those who are talking about the mind, never thought about the science. Now they find both parties are paralyzed. They have to come hand in hand. So now mind science has come into being. So we are in that generation. So we have to be very alert on this, what is happening there, and to understand it, you must have your own mindfulness. If you are mindful and get this kind of thing, internal and external, micro and macro connection, we came in this particular age very strategically. It is not a coincidence. So therefore we must awaken to the subject, why we here, why we are here in a specific age. So we have to enrich it, not only by eating, not only by dancing, not only by wearing, but we have to nourish our mind with this essential Dhamma, or essential truth, universal truth.
Okay, to share some of the things we discussed at the convert, I hope Vasanta will not give answers to these. This is from the scriptures, one superb reading which opens our mind to that statement of the Buddha. Imagine there is a very vast jungle. It's so big and so big, so much so that there are no animals or humans in that area, say for miles and miles. Imagine there is a tall tree, but quite aged, and one day this tree is falling. Okay, the question is there a sound when the tree is falling?
As far as there is no one to listen, no hearing. So either you can say sound is there but no one to listen. Yet another person says that means no sound. Likewise that lot of riddles, lot of puzzles just presented for the meditative cycles to arouse the radical reflection. Arouse the radical reflection and it won't give any explanation. It just burst open and leave it. That is called quants or puzzles. So during the time of the Buddha there would have been a number of this kind of thing. But after maintaining the scriptures for 2000 and odd years, so all these things would have dropped and we now get on to the skeleton. But when we are practicing and specifically in the Dhamma discussions coming from the different traditions, then these things are coming out. And they give us shortcuts for us to give radical reflections.
And the second one was something we managed to make up, which is closer to home. Let us imagine that you are either driving on the road or going in the back seat, watching the road. Right? You are traveling at the speed of around 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. And it may be the early morning hours when the office people are going to work in Singapore, Orchard Street or somewhere. Or you are even coming back home. I guess best to think you are not driving but you are being chauffeured. Imagine if you happen to be a female listening or if you happen to be a male listening. A female sees a very handsome looking young man coming towards you and in a split second or in a few seconds you are very close and you only get mental impression of that person like from a street camera. Similarly, a male can think of a female. Now, when you see that person, you haven't spoken to him, you haven't done anything with nothing, no interactions. The moment you see that vision and it goes into your brain, something comes to your mind, thinking, okay, this person is very nice, this girl is very nice looking, very beautiful. And then the proliferation starts to happen. Then you start to think, okay, she may be like this, he may be like this, must be a gentle person, blah, 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 the proliferation goes on. Now in this exercise I am taking, what I mentioned there was, so a girl may be thinking, okay, he must be unmarried, etc. The whole train goes on. Imagine if it is a man, he is without a job, the reality. He may be without a job. He may be a petty thief. I know he is very low-looking here, right? And he may be having a wife, but he is a drunkard. So he is fighting every night with his wife. So the girl goes home and she gets on to the, after a wash, she lies down on her bed and again she thinks, go on thinking. At that exact moment, when she's thinking that this person is very nice, etc., at that exact moment, that man is having a fight with someone, very ugly face, not that beautiful face that the person saw. So the girl, that man is not there. It is a totally imagined person she had proliferated. The reality is totally different. So that is again becomes like a shock, because when you see something, immediately by looking at the picture, you get a frame. And based on that frame, again the mind starts to proliferate. and come up with things. So what you see or what you saw is not what is there. And especially on Rupa, you said the first thing, based on your judgment is based on what you see.
So that is what happened in the advertisements. Advertisement, they know where to shoot. And that is what the trick of the advertisement. And then once you taken and consume it, nothing special. Only thing is that here the person's pocket is fulfilled, you are the loser. So nowadays, without advertisement, no business. Advertisement is business. So therefore, don't arrive quick decisions and make the number of criteria to arrive at a decision or suspend the decision. That is the best, that is the most, how do you call this, secured method. That means patience. Patience leads to Nibbana. Okay. Ten 20.
So we can call it a day again?
Yeah. So that no talks, night talks afterwards. And tomorrow and day after we will have the two retreats continues. So today also we had a successful day, sitting, and this is the last event of the day, talk. So all the merits we acquired, we will share with all the seen and unseen beings, and share with the relatives. And may we wish, due to the spirit of our merits, we may see things as they are, and reach the final goal that the Buddha prescribed, so that our misunderstanding will be straightened. With that intention, we are going to recite the traditional stanza. Ittavata jangammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbi deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbi bhuta anumodantu Ittavata jangammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu mang parang. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena vame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena vame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okasa vandami bhante
Sukhi hontu.
mayakatam punyam samina anumoditabha.
Sadhu, sadhu anumodami.
Samina katam punyam mayham gatabha.
Sadhu anumoditabha.
Sadhu, sadhu anumodami. Okasa dvaratina katam sammang achyam kamatadika.
Kamami kamitabha.
Okasa kamani
Sukhi.
you